do it all over again. What's up, beautiful people? This is Nate here.
Skev.
2/3 of the super group that is GamesMusicLyfe. We're back with a review for this Wale project titled Shine.
Wallard. Back again.
I'm not going to call him Wallard as well. I'll get to the end.
More Wallard.
We'll get to that. So let's get into it, man. This is Wale's fifth studio album, the DC-born Maybach Music Group artist. I definitely was looking forward to this project, man. I'm a big Wale fan. I know one of the first conversations you and I have ever had was me trying to convince you that Wale was not worthy of the Wallard title. You know, you not being a big Wale fan, you said it was real dreamy music, and I got it. I get it. But, you know, that's one of the things with Wale. Either you like him or you hate him. Me personally, it was like, you know, my baby sister went to the University of Howard. So while she was down there in the midst of all the DC go-go scene and everything with Wale, she would always ask me about, do I know about Wale? And I was listening to the More About Nothing mixtapes when they were out. And so, you know, I always, you know, thought of them two together. So whenever a project would come out from Wale, I think of my baby sister. And, you know, and he didn't let me down. I mean, coming off of it, 2015, the album About Nothing, the Matrimony album with Seinfeld was probably my album of the year that year. So I definitely was going into this project ready to go. I was ready for this, man.
That's high praise. You know, I've always been a little bit indifferent about Wale. I've heard moments of brilliance, and I've also heard just, you know, flat out corn from Wallard from time to time. So I really didn't know what to expect coming into this album. But, you know, as always, I come in with open ears, man. If it's hot, it's hot. I'll give them that. So
you give it a fair share. I always say that, man.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's get into it, man. So track one, Thank God. This one, you know, had a smooth jazz beat, man. It had a jazz vibe to it. The drums and the strings stand out on this track to me. The background vocals from Otomi, which I didn't know, you know, definitely came off well on this one. Was a good touch. And I thought it was a decent way to start the project.
I feel it, man. The really laid-back R&B vibe on this beat was really cool, man. It had a very Cool and Dre sound, man, a very MMG, just luxury, lush feel about it. Wale, he goes right in, you know, kind of giving us a few little slight swag, brag raps here and there, and I thought it worked out good, man. The hook on this track was simple, but it was very effective. Wale singing just on bits and pieces throughout this track, it actually works out okay. It comes across okay on here because he did actually get a singer to come in on the hook, and the singer comes through very well. And I felt like it was a good balance on there. Hook was very strong in there. So with it, great way to kick off the album.
No doubt, man. All right, so he's in the track two, Running Back featuring Lil Wayne.
Yeah, man. First of all, this beat was just awful. Yeah. It was god awful. It was terrible. There's no compliment I can give to this beat. When they debuted it on First Take, I remember just thinking like, Wale, this is not the legacy that you want to set for yourself. You know, this is not the way you want to introduce yourself to the world. Like, you got to come with some fire. Right. The awkward synth chords on this beat just carried absolutely nowhere. The hook on this track was weak in my opinion. Wale's verses were mediocre. Wayne sounded good for 2017 Wayne, but it wasn't enough to save this track.
I got you, man. I kind of to piggyback what you said, man. I had written down it sounded very nursery rhymish, the beat. And that's kind of what it sounded like, a nursery rhyme cadence, man. I didn't really care for that, but I do think the bass drop on there at certain points had me head nodding a little bit, so maybe it got me a little bit. I'm not really a fan of Wale going between singing and spoken word, kind of like Drake Light, and I kind of even coined him that through the project, which I'll get more into that later in the project about why. You know, and then Wayne with, you know, singing on here, I didn't really care for as well. I want Wayne to start rapping again, man. And some of the projects he was on, like guest appearances, he was actually giving some pretty decent offerings rapping wise. So it sounded like he was motivated, and you know, maybe the contract stuff that's going on between him and his pops is getting to his head. But I don't want to see him singing. I want to get Wayne get off of that daggone auto tune. That's wearing me out as well. So this track, man, I had Kanye Shrug, man. It's just,
hey, that's fair.
Yeah,
fair.
Yeah. All right, man. So leads into track three. Scarface, Rose Gotti. I mean, I really love the beat on this one, man. It had like a dreamy vibe. The strings were just dope on this one, man. Wale is singing on the hook, but comes off much better than he did in the previous tracks. The bars stand out on this one, man. He definitely is spitting. And it definitely seems like an ode to the people that he looks up to, which is Scarface, you know, being one of the greatest rappers ever, Rick Ross, and then I couldn't really figure out who Gotti was. I can't think it was Yo Gotti, because Yo Gotti is whatever. You know, so
never know Wale.
You know, I love that at one point he stuck about talking about KD, how he, you know, wishful thinking of him coming back to DC and playing for the Wizards. I thought that was very dope. Wale's a big sports fan, so I like how he worked that in there as well. All in all, I thought it was a dope track, man.
Yeah, man. With it, this beat was pretty catchy in my opinion, man. It's light, it's airy, it's got an R&B vibe. It floats well all throughout the song. Just a bit of a side note, man. The Flute is having an absolutely amazing year in hip hop. Man, and Wale got his off. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, man. Like they're in high demand. You know what I'm saying. If you play the Flute, go get that check.
Go get it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. But with it, I was really digging Wale's flows and his energy on the verses here. In my opinion, the hook makes the track sound a little bit unfinished, just because Wale kind of mumbles his way through it. It almost sounds like it was a reference track. And I really wish that he would have kind of went back in there, either gave the hook to somebody else to kind of flesh it out, or just gave it a little bit more. Like, I mean, first of all, the Scarface, Rose, and Gotti reference, I really didn't get where he was trying to go with that. I mean, I know he's saying he was just bumping their music or whatever, but it just kind of feels pointless. It makes the hook seem a little bit empty, and along with him mumbling, it's like I have to wonder, what direction you were trying to go in there. But I won't be too much of a critical, a critical hater. But that was my one gripe with the track.
Gotcha. Okay. So, leading to track 4, My Love, featuring Major Lazer, Wizkid, and Dua Lipa.
Yeah.
What'd you think, bro?
Man, off top, man, Wale taking advantage of that Caribbean, Afro pop wave. It's a little bit cringy, if I'm honest, but this record does sound like a big record. I think Wale does just enough not to get in his own way on this record, letting the other artists like Wizkid and everybody on there shine the way that they're supposed to, doing what they do best, and staying in his own lane, man, just sticking to the rapping. The track comes across a little bit corny, kind of like the way a Pitbull track or a Flow Rider track would. It seems like he's really trying to pander to he's trying to pander to like a larger audience. Yeah. But I can understand the appeal. Like, I think that people will actually like this track, even if it wasn't for me.
Gotcha, man. This thing is pop. Yeah. All right, that's what this is, man. Fist pumping shall definitely ensue on this track. The track, it had like a big island feel, which I'm cool with that. I'm okay with that one, man. Wale is singing again. I feel like it was an attempt to cross over. I definitely think he's trying to get some of that pop money. The features aren't bad and actually make the song good, in my opinion, man. I don't feel like this track is terrible, but this is not the Wale I grew to love. I want to hear some bars, I want to hear some beats, I want to hear him flowing, even some spoken word. I'll accept it, but I just didn't. I was like, Kanye shrug once again, a big Kanye shrug.
Yeah. All
right, so leading to track 5, Fashion Week, featuring G-Eazy. Before I get into this one, man, G-Eazy's getting a stamp from a lot of people. He's been on Raekwon's project. He's been on a lot of projects. For me and you to be critical on him sometimes, I think he was kind of like not as much industry plant, but kind of like a culture vulture. He's getting a lot of love from people, man. So I was surprised to see him on this project. But
I don't know.
I know you don't care. But anyways, the track, has an upbeat vibe. It has kind of like a go-go vibe almost, man. The drums stand out on this one. More than any instrument on the track, in my opinion. G-Eazy actually fits the theme of the track pretty well. At first listen, I didn't really care for this track, but for some reason, the second time I listened to it, I was like, this isn't bad. This could be an okay track. I like it. I like the track.
I feel it, man. Now I'm gonna keep it all the way honest with you, man. This beat was just nuts. It felt like this beat was impossible to fumble on this track. The drums are just hypnotizing. The choir in the background. It gives the track a sound like it could fill a room. It's one of those tracks. Just immediately, man, it gets you nodding your head. It makes you just want to dance. Like, I played it for my wife a little bit earlier in the day, just while I was kind of going through the music, and I noticed she's over there tapping her foot, bobbing her head. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's a track that makes you want to dance. With it, Wale and G-Eazy pair together well on this track. The hook is kind of bland, but it doesn't even matter. In my opinion, the best part of this track was when Wale just lets the beat breathe at the end of the track, and just kind of gives you those little just go, just a little bit of pacing on there, man. Right. This track just makes you want to move. I felt like there was no way to lose on there. I don't know why they don't have this out as a single right now, because this track would move.
Yes, absolutely.
This track would move. Like, absolutely. I don't see how anybody could not like it. It's a banger.
Okay, no doubt, man. So leading to track 6, Columbia Heights, Te Amo, featuring J Balvin.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I never want to hear Wale try to rap in Spanish ever again. All right. This is the worst attempt at pandering to styles that I think I may have ever heard, or at least this year that I've ever heard. Okay. This sound, Wale trying to put his own spin on. He's trying to put his spin on Drake's cultural appropriations, and it's like, yo, you can't bite a biter. You know what I'm saying? Right. Just no bueno, no more, no mas. Cut it out, cut it off. I don't want to hear it. It's bad. It's bad. Those are my notes on that.
All right, man. The one thing I will say about the track was that the beat wasn't bad. The beat actually isn't bad at all. But like you said, Wale rapping in Spanish, listen, I never want to hear that ever again in life. I literally had to fight my way through this track. Even the J Balvin dude had to research him. He actually is a pretty good, artist over in in Spanish, but I ain't trying to hear that with Wale. Like, I don't want to hear that, man. He's a big Latin act, man. Performs in Spanish and comes off, much better because that's his native language. This track seems kind of odd, though, man. I had really it's really odd. I mean, Wale is from Africa.
Yeah.
Why the hell is he doing Spanish?
Riding waves, man.
What is he doing?
He is wave riding.
Yo, man. Drake Light again, man.
Hey, man.
He's trying to attempt world domination. Only Drake can do that, man. Stop it. This track I had written down was just Kanye Shrug once again, man. Like, what are you doing, my man? Like, what is this?
I gotta come from behind the mic.
Yeah,
like, don't do it no more. Don't do it no more.
All right, man. So these are the track 7, CC White. I mean, I love the jazzy beat, man. This is the pocket I prefer Wale in when he gets to his singing on, I should say. He goes from singing to rapping once again, but in a more traditional Wale style. It's sonically better to the ear. Wordplay is top notch on this one, man. I can't take nothing away from it. The cocaine comparisons stand out and actually kind of funny. So I thought it was a pretty dope track.
All right, see now this is where we're gonna kind of separate here because
let's go
for me, I'm just gonna talk about the production first, man.
Okay.
And the thing I have to say about the production is nothing particularly especially about this track on the production here, but it's not bad. The production there is solid. It's okay. Nothing stood out. Nothing really memorable for me, but it wasn't anything bad. Wale's singing is beyond terrible. Wale's singing is almost like a virus, and it just kills and ruins everything it touches. Like, what is this song about?
You make it hard for me, Wale, man. You make it hard, man. You make it hard for me to try to get him. But
I mean, outside it's like, is Wale making coke records now? Like, what is this? What is happening? What is going on in the world anymore? Like, what is this? Who are you, Wallard?
I don't know.
Who are you anymore?
I don't know.
I
don't know. Oh, man. So I couldn't get it at all. I just thought it was kind of witty, the cocaine vibes. But then after, I don't know. I'm going to quit trying to
What?
All right, man. So listen, goes to the track 8, the beat. What's the title on this? I haven't read it.
Mathematics, man.
Yeah. All right, man. The beat was really grimy on this one, man. The bass drop and the piano, were they make the beat on this one, man. Kind of a trappy flow once again. Wale, I thought he was snapping, man. I'm not a big fan of the singing, cadence though. Blah.
Yeah, for me, I agree with you on that. This beat bangs. Kane laced Wale on here, man. Kane has actually been responsible for a lot of great hip hop music, and I think that he might be a little bit undercredited as a producer or underrated as a producer. Again, though, man, I kind of felt like Wale was kind of mailing it in. He gave that sloppy, drawn-out flow on here, which I didn't really... It felt more like pandering again. He was just trying to show that he had those styles in his arsenal or whatever. Makes the song sound a bit like a throwaway. So, again, I wasn't wowed. All
right, man. So, leading to track 9, Fish and Grits, featuring Travis Scott.
Yeah.
What'd you think, bro?
Man, first things first, man. This beat sounds unfinished. It is just so bare bones and skeletal that I'm thinking that the producer had an idea of what he was going for on this track, and maybe they just snatched it for him before he could really, flesh it out. Travis Scott, first of all, you're very disrespectful for not taking your chains off while you recorded this song. That kind of told me that he didn't give a damn about Wale. You know what I'm saying? He just kind of hopped in the booth. He probably just ran right out of his car, just ran right in the booth. Was like, yo, listen, you got a hot 15 minutes with this mic on, and I'm out, bro. All right, and the check better clear.
The check better clear.
The check better clear, bro. That's just ultimate disrespect. You could just hear his chains just clanking around in the middle of the hook, and whenever he comes in on the verse, you just hear. Sounds like keys jingling everywhere. Just disrespect. It kind of sounds like Travis mailed it in on this hook as well, in my opinion. I listened to Portland on the way over, and I'm listening to Travis Scott and what he tried to offer on Drake's album. I'm like, yo, this is disrespect that you gave this to Wale a little bit. You could kind of tell, you gave him kind of the that verse. I don't know about this track.
Right. I mean, kind of mirroring your thoughts, man. I thought the track, like you said, definitely unfinished. We definitely each other's notes on that one. The beat, is upbeat. It's okay, but it just sounded real weird to me. It almost sounded like a Travis Scott song featuring Wale. It didn't sound like a Wale track at all, and I don't know if that was maybe his goal in doing that, but like I said, it sounded unfinished. It sounded like it was more to the track that they took out. Maybe it was another feature we don't know about, but I just didn't really get it, and it kind of just seemed like he was taking the Travis Scott name and putting it on the project, which at this point in Wale's career is sad if that was the case, because we should be able to look at a Wale project and just love it for him, but it's like he stole, which is one of the hottest acts right now, in Travis Scott, and just put him on his project. And it really was kind of it was bad.
Didn't
man.
translate.
It didn't
anything.
translate well at all.
Yeah.
So, but I'm a big Travis Scott fan. Everyone knows I'm a huge Travis Scott fan. I didn't like him on here, man. I thought it was just decent, you know. All right, man. So leads into track 10, "Fine Girl" featuring Davido Olam. Whatever. Anyways, Wale is back on his pop flag, man. Fist pumping once again, showing Sue on this track. I literally skipped this track the first 3 times I listened to it. Wale back on the hook. This seems like it should be part of More Life playlist, man.
Ooh,
I
wow.
feel like this should be part of the More Life playlist. And Miss Me with all the tings and all your things with that, Wale. Like, get out of here. This needs to go that way.
Yeah.
All right. So that's all I had to say about that.
It's funny. Like, we've been doing this for a while now.
Yeah.
At this point, you know what I'm saying. And sometimes our opinions are on the same path, and sometimes we differ.
Yeah.
But this album, it really brought us together, man. Because I literally wrote more singing, more island vibes, more life.
More life.
All right.
Man. Drake Light, man.
Just Drake Light, man. Wale singing again. It is terrible that that virus that is Wale singing comes back on here. The verses were actually kind of decent, but yeah. More throwaways.
No doubt, man. All right, man. It's leading to track 11, Heaven on Earth, featuring Chris Brown. What'd you think?
Man, for me, this track really comes across as kind of the epitome of Wale. This is what I'd expect from a Wale record. Really soft, emotional beat, R&B hook, some more date rap. Like, this sounds like, the track that you play for a girl the first time you take her out on a date. The track is really radio ready, really radio friendly, and one of the better tracks on the album. So with it worked. It worked out.
I mean, this one, man, I immediately, Chris Brown stands out, and I initially thought this track would be, different than any other Chris Brown feature on a project, but it doesn't. It just sounds like any other Chris Brown feature we get on anyone else's project. At this point, it's like, if I'm Chris Brown's people, I'm gonna tell him quit being on people's projects because they're not using you well. I think dude is super talented, man.
Yeah.
But on this one, man, the beat even sounds like a Chris Brown techno feel, man. It sounds more like a Chris Brown track with Wale featuring on it. It doesn't sound like a Wale and Chris Brown. It sounds like a Chris Brown track with Wale sprinkled on there a little bit. So it's okay, but once again, Kanye shrug, bro.
Hey, I feel you.
All right, man. So leads into track 12, My PYT. Do we want to talk about this one?
Only thing I really had to say about it is, man, that really sounded like a Tiger record.
Absolutely, it sounds like a Tiger record. Yeah, it does sound like a Tiger record. It does sound like a Tiger record, but this was the lead single. It came out a while ago, and I remember listening to it like, yo, I don't know what this is going to be. Like, I don't like this track at all.
To me, I mean, it felt like it was supposed to be his, lead single. I mean, it gave me, not to say that it was as good as, but it gave me the same vibe as Lotus Flower Bomb and another one of those tracks that he, Bad Girl or whatever, the song with Rihanna.
Gotcha.
It kind of fed in that same vein where it was kind of, poppy, dancey, had that commercial appeal to it or whatever.
Gotcha.
But it sounded like a Tiger record.
Yeah, it does. That's the realest thing you said all day, man.
Yeah.
All right, man. So leads into track 13, DNA. I mean, this one, man, the jazzy vibe and keys stand out on the track. Overall, a good beat and good driving music, I would say. But the spoken word is where, Wale shines, man. On this one, similar to previous offerings, I definitely feel like the spoken word is where he kind of gets the meat of his content in some aspects. The wordplay is there on this one, man. It keeps the listener engaged. It's all right. A decent track.
All right.
Okay. Go ahead,
take my glasses off.
Take glasses off, man. Yeah.
First of all, man, we're gonna start off with more god awful Wale singing, more god awful Wallard virus coming through to start this track off. So we're already off to a bad start. First, the good D and advice to add up to DNA. This is the level of corny that only Wale can achieve, okay? Up to this point in the album, I was willing to give this album a pass for its shortcomings, just a slight pass, but a pass nonetheless. But at this point in the album, I'm fed up. I don't think Wale understands, like, records like this are the reason people don't like him. You know what I'm saying? Like, why artists, have been putting out those Wale's garbage, like, memes and just everything else for all these years? Like, tracks like this are the reason why they do this.
And I would always try to defend him to you, too.
You would, man. Yeah. But this is the reason why I've hated on Wale so long. There's absolutely nothing good about this record at all. There's nothing to salvage. Like, burn it with fire, man. Like, this track is so bad, it makes me kind of want to assault him. Like, if I ever saw Wale in the street, you know what I'm saying? Like, if he ever confronted me about this album review, I'd point to this track, and if he had anything to say about it, it might be on site. You know what I'm saying? If he had anything to tell me about it, because this was god awful. Man. I would say avoid this album just because of this track, because it is literally that bad. Like,
I can't defend it. And I'll be always trying to defend him to you too,
like,
man.
yo, good D and advice. Like, my God, Wale is like 30 years old, man. He's like 32 years old. Like, my God, bro. My God. Like, what is wrong with you?
Man, so listen. All right, so listening to track 14, the last track of the album, Smile, featuring Phil Aid and Zyla Moon. This is what I've been waiting on, man. If anything, this track kind of pissed me off because this is the Wale traditionally that we would usually get on projects. A hip-hop vibe, the bars were smooth, the beat was smooth, the features hold their own and give a decent offering, feel-good track. Wale is once again on the hook, but comes off better on this one. After giving us a whole project of him singing, I don't understand why he couldn't come off this well. And I don't know, man. So that's all I have written down for that track, man.
Yeah, now for me, man, this track, it had a bit of a boom bap 808 sound to it. Kind of gave me a feeling of like early 90s R&B and hip hop, which, you know, that's kind of the pocket that Wale exists in. Wale singing again is terrible, but I actually like the message on here, and the singing comes across playful on the track, which I thought worked out to his advantage. He had some Wale had some funny, witty bars in there, man. I thought the bar about Cottonmouth was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was actually a decent way to end off the album. Like, the bars were there, it had a good message. It was a tolerable track.
Okay. So all in all, I'm gonna go first today, man.
Yeah.
All right, man. All in all, man, this is the project I did not want from Wale, period. Now, with that being said, I do think some people will actually like the poppy stuff that go along with it. I'm not just one of them, man. Certain artists, I kind of expect them to, be a shoe-in to deliver hip-hop. This project just seemed more life, man. It seemed like the Drake playlist, continued, but the B-sides of it. But it definitely not in a good way, man. Until the last track on the project where I finally heard the boom bap Wale that I had grown to love and to be a fan of, I didn't want to seem like it didn't seem like an MMG project at all, man. I kind of blame Ross for this, man. Kind of like in Boom. If anybody's seen the movie Boomerang, how my man was in a funk and he left the one dude to make the Strong J video by himself and he came back with a complete turd. That's what this album is. This album was just all over the place. I couldn't really figure out what he was trying to get across on any of it, man. When we discussed top tier rappers, man, Wale at one point was, we would, as a Wale fan, would be trying to champion for him, like, yo, you should give Wale a chance, and no, he's not that bad, and I get it's fun to hate him, but listen to this. I'm not going to put this as an example to put up there because, if anything, this proves to your point, which is me and you always used to debate about, which is Wale is not good, and, like, I can't defend this crap at all. I gave this project a 60.
You're right. Yeah. For me, this album was the embodiment of all that is wrong with Wale. And I don't mean that so much as a negative, but like Wale tends to get in his own way. Like, I don't know if the guy just doesn't have friends or if he doesn't have, good people around him to tell him or to kind of critique or give him advice about his music or his sound or try to help flesh his sound out, move it further. Like, if you ask me at this point in his career, I think Wale really needs kind of a change of pace. He needs somebody to get in there and produce a full album for him and really utilize his talents and, kind of keep him away from himself. Because I feel like Wale, this album right here is a testament that he is his own worst enemy. Like,
absolutely.
He gets in his own way. There was nothing else on this album that was stopping it from, sounding good other than Wale. I mean, the beat selection was, it was decent, if not good. The guest features on here, with the exception of Travis Scott just kind of mailing it in, I thought were really good. I mean, that was the best I've heard Chris Brown in a while. I mean, it was pretty typical, but it worked out. It came across well on the track, but it was just Wale. Wale was always, kind of the hit or miss guy on every track on here.
Right.
He was on most of these tracks, he was the person I could do without.
Right.
His singing, again, it I can't stress enough how god awful it is, to the point that it made this record almost sound amateur.
Yes.
Like this
was a joke. I was getting trolled, man.
This album kind of sounds like a demo. If you really
does,
listen to it, it sounds like he's got these great ideas for tracks, but they're not fleshing themselves out. Like, I mean, there's no excuse for a guy who's on his 5th album, probably like 9th project altogether if we clump in some of the mixtapes as well. And you know, you shouldn't be humming on these hooks at this point. Like, you should know how to make a well fleshed out song at this point, and he just doesn't. Like on this album, it just proves that he doesn't. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe this was kind of the last album under his contract. And listening to these songs, you know, I'm not a huge Wale fan, but I could hear him trying to find a sound. Like, he was throwing darts on the board, kind of seeing what sticks, taking from everything that's popular. Only thing I didn't really hear was a real deep, gritty trap vibe on this album. Everything was a little bit light, but I mean, we got the kind of Afro pop, we got the Caribbean vibe, the dance hall vibe, we got the R&B tracks, man. We do have, you know, the tracks that are just bars. He's got the laid back slurred flow, he's got the double time flow on here. It was almost like he was just trying to show his skill set, as if to say, you know, hey, labels, pick me up. I can do these things. And there are a lot of songs on this album that if Wale wasn't getting in his own way, they would be hits. Like the first track that we got into that had the real island vibe to it, the My Love track. That song is a big song. It really could work. But Wale is not the catalyst for that song actually working.
Right.
Yeah, man. For me, if ever I was going to, you know, give evidence as to why I felt like Wale is not as great as he is touted to be, this album would be the embodiment of that. Like, that's what I've always heard from Wale, and now he just kind of gave us a full album of it. Whereas, you know, every once in a while we would hear glimpses of brilliance in Wale, and you know, I know that's why a lot of people are like, hey man, check out these albums, check out these projects, you know, More About Nothing, the album About Nothing, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But this is kind of what I've always heard from Wale. This is the vibe that he's always given me. Like, as a non-Wale fan, not a hater, but as a non-Wale fan, this is what I expected for him. He was right in the ballpark. I actually rated this album out at a 60 right there, right there with you. But I do feel like Wale does have room to grow. All he really needs to do is get the right people in his camp to keep it real with him. Yeah. Get somebody around you that's willing to say, like, hey, listen, this track needs this, or, you know, you need to dial this back. This doesn't come across well. It seems like he's got all his guys in the studios. He goes in there, records that verse, and they're like, it sounds great.
That's a hit. Yeah. Like, in the past, though, that's what kind of puzzled me more than anything was he kind of got it right, in my opinion, which made me like him more of an artist, was he would get your Miguels, your Neos, your R&B acts to piggyback onto his rapping, and it'd be a perfect marriage. Now, mind you, was it a safe bet? Absolutely, I get you when you just say that point. I get it, but another thing that came about it was all the things that became Wale fans. The sneaker references. Yeah. I follow Wale on Instagram not because I like looking at his face, because he could dress. He actually had a nice sense of style. Yeah. He might put me up on some sneaks that I might need to go get that I forgot about. Then also the sports references. Yeah, he didn't talk about any of that on this album. It's like he kind of, like you said, like a demo, almost mailed it in to the point where I left this project feeling so puzzled. Like, what the hell did I just listen to?
I'm telling you, I feel like he is almost trying to court other labels to kind of pick him up or to kind of see the vision or with him. But I really wish that he, like, if you ask me, if this album would have came out and it would have just been a mixtape, or, you know, it may have just kind of been tracks sprinkled without, I think that as a mixtape, this might be rated a little bit higher. Or even if he just took out his singing, put somebody in there that, you know, actually had vocals, this album could have been better. Like, the body was there, but I should say the foundation was there, but what Wale built as the house was rickety. It was rickety and raggedy, ready to fall down.
Like you said, he got his own way, man.
Yeah, as Waller does. As Waller does.
Let us know what you guys think, man. Leave it in the comments below. We're too low on it, too high on it. Let me know if you guys, you know.
If you even heard it, because I mean, it only sold 22,000 copies. So if you heard it, just let us know. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, let us know if you heard it.
Just check in, hit that like if you even listened to it.
Exactly. Just say, yo, dear Kev, I listened to it.
I did listen.
You don't gotta tell us a review. Let us know if you listened to it, man.
Yeah.
But it is a puzzle album, and you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But yo, this is Nate here.
It's Kev.
2/3 of the super group that's Games Music Life, man. Drink more water, people.
Peace.